I'm all about being intentional in a lot of things in a lot of areas of my life. But talking about the hard stuff about filming with your family in a reality TV show is, I would say, those years, what you call our little duck show, those years that we filmed that, Jase and I were very intentional about our marriage and about our kids. And it was a daily meet, almost, I would say daily. We had some type of a conversation about, where are you? Where are you at? Where are we at? Where are the kids at? Because we saw other families and how it happened to them. We saw even parts of our family struggling with it. And we would always come back together and be very intentional about it. And I mean, like, not just where are you, because we need to say that today, but it was about what exactly is going on a daily and weekly basis, and let's flesh it out, which is something that I wasn't used to growing up, all of those hard conversations, but the Robertson family is, and then Jase is also very intentional. So I would say, you might not agree with me, babe, but I would say during that time was one of the times in our marriage that we got closer as a couple.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I mean, because kids are obviously not mature enough to handle the fact that if a bunch of people like you on social media, that means nothing. Or they follow you. So I would ask them, like, where are y'all going? You got this many. They come, oh, Dad, I got 150 more followers in like 4 months. Like, where are y'all going? Where are you headed? It's like, do what? It's like, it's all a mirage. You know, if you get to thinking your personal worth is based on how many people like you and follow you, this is a dead end road. Because, I mean, it may not even be real people. But that was the biggest problem, I think, is it's just hard for immature people to handle fame. So that is why we were having to be intentional.
Yep. And how did the kids do?
Overall, I think, I can speak for our kids. Overall, I think they did very well. If I could go back, like, my boys aren't even on social media. They just saw that it was a means to an end. Mia, who is 18 now, was 8 whenever we started filming. Yeah. So 10 years ago, we started filming on A&E. But, you know, they had been used to cameras for longer than that. But she had the most problem with it. But she also has, you know, she was born with craniofacial issues, cleft lip and palate. She has other issues that went along with all of that. But overall, I think that they understand the dangers of social media. And if I could go back 10 years, social media would not have entered into the equation for any of my minor children at all. They would not have had a phone.
Yeah, I agree.
So we've had the same conclusion, Sean.
Yeah, so the first 2 kids, we have 9. The older ones all have phones, but we've now made, again, with having so many kids, you can figure out what you did wrong with young ones.
Yep. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So I'm an 8th grader now who's like, I need a phone, I want a phone, and we've been like, nope.
Yep. No, you don't need one. Nobody that age needs one.
Nobody needs one, really, other than
maybe a flip phone, but you can't get social media on that, and you can like take 10 minutes to try to text me a sentence. That's fine. Did you guys do an exit interview with the kids? Because sometimes the 2 that have left our house, we've done exit interviews to go, okay, what do we do well as parents? What have we? What can we improve upon? Have you had a conversation with them since the show? Well, was this worth it? Did you enjoy it? Did we make a good decision to expose our family, or do you wish we hadn't done this at all,
or done it differently?
Yeah.
Well, we had exit interviews, but they weren't planned.
It was more of a crash.
Yeah, and it was a crash. And while the flames were burning, we had a meeting, and they were like, "This is what you did wrong." So, we had them, and I think, to Missy, your credit and mine, I just thought, you know what? We got to fall on the sword. We did make mistakes here and there, and I look back on it, and so I just thought I'm going to own everything that they come up with. Even some things I didn't even really understand what their point was, but most of the things they came up with, I thought, yeah, you know what, I could have done better. Mm-hmm. But they were shocked, and I was like, you're going to have to live a faithful life and have integrity and character in spite of some of the mistakes that I made. But overall, I love you.
We've had just about 6 months ago, I'll say this, we had a very intense family counseling weekend. And we saw that coming. We saw, I had a friend of mine who was specialized in trauma, and she came to our house, and after a day and a half, she told us that we did 8 weeks worth of counseling in a day and a half. The boys, my boys flew in, and we just knuckled down because we saw some problems in our family that needed to be taken care of. And so we did it, and I was super proud of us doing that. And the siblings had Mia had held some things against her older brothers, basically for leaving, abandoning her, without really abandoning her. They grew up and moved out.
They left,
But there were so many issues that we thought we were dealing with, but we actually were not and didn't really know how to deal with. And so this was the crash. This was the big crash weekend about 6 months ago. And it was the best thing we've ever done for our family. And even, we just had a brand new grandbaby. So we're first-time grandparents. And when Reed and Brighton had the baby, I don't even know if I told you this, babe. It was during duck season. So, but like 2 or 3 days after they brought Maris home, Reed's texting me. Reed sends me this text and says, "Mom, I don't appreciate your passive aggressiveness, and we're dealing with a lot right now." And I looked at this text and I was like, What just happened? So I go to call. I'm like, "Did you tell him anything?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" Mia said, "Mom, call him up. If we learned anything about in counseling, let's just lay it out on the table and get it all out." Yeah. And so,
good job, Mia.
Yeah, I called him and he was like, "I'm sorry. That was we're just lack of sleep and the baby's not sleeping and first time parents." And so that helped in so many more ways than just getting the stuff out that we needed to, but it also helped us learn to communicate better going forward.